There is a podcast about an island in the North Atlantic where people have been looking for an incredible treasure for more than 200 years.
Hello and welcome back to Could It Be?
An Oak Island podcast.
We are your hosts, Deidre and Dustin White.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty fantastic.
Oh my gosh, we have a huge show today because we have a very, very special guest.
We do.
If you're watching live, you see him.
Yes.
We have Mr. Matty Blake, the host of Drilling Down. Hey, Matty, how's it going?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for today. You have a lot of experience being on the island, working with the guys. You have
pretty much our dream.
Yeah, you have our dream. All the fans. I think at home we call you the Master Acorn. You know, you're the guy. So we just appreciate you taking some time to chat with us, to chat with the people in the chat, and to answer some questions about Oak Island and other things.
Of course.
Yeah,
that's really sweet. I was christened the head acorn by Rick and Marty, and I've said it's more important to me than if I was knighted by a queen somewhere. And I've tried to get my wife to call me Sir Matty, but she won't. So,
that's
yeah, I could do that, Sir Matty.
I mean, that's our stepping in.
No, it's just somebody's got to do it. He's the head acorn.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, that's really funny. That's really great. So, first off, I just want to ask you, hey, how are things going in New England? You live up in the Northeast, right?
I do. I'm in coastal Rhode Island. I'm blessed enough to live on the water. I'm looking at it right now. It looks a little like I live on something called the Palmer River, which flows into Narragansett Bay, and it reminds me a little bit of Mahone Bay. Just it's like a mini version of it. So I'm often looking out and thinking about Oak Island. But we're lucky here. We're blessed. Rhode Island is doing well. My son is doing online school, and it's like he hasn't skipped a beat. He's up there all till 1 o'clock every day. So he's in high school. And so we're all healthy. God bless us. And everyone's doing okay. How about you guys?
Oh, we're fine.
I mean, we're hanging in there. Our kids are a bit younger. So
yeah, we live in Washington State. And this is kind of where that kind of the pandemic first started. So it was kind of scary here at first, but things seem to be getting back on track. We wish our kids were at like school, but whatever. It is what it is.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. All right. On. So in the New England area, this is something that's a little bit, it's not Oak Island yet, but there's a bunch of these armchair treasure hunts. You know what armchair treasure hunt is?
I haven't heard that term. No.
Ooh.
So like this is something we're really into. So
it's a problem.
Yeah. There's a what's called an armchair treasure hunt is like a treasure hunt that's made by somebody. It's not like a lost legendary treasure or something.
Gotcha. Yes.
Yeah, it's made by somebody. They hide something. They put out a book or they put out clues or something for you to go and try to find it. You do most of the work at home in your armchair, and then you go home, or then you go out into the field and try to find something, right? And so in Boston, there's a few of them out there. So I was gonna just state that, hey, maybe you should look into some of them because they're fun and you can win cool prizes, and it's a fun family activity. So. Yeah. We interviewed for our other podcast. We have a Armcast. An Armcast. No, we have a podcast called Boots and Armchairs, a treasure hunters podcast. And we had an interview with an author named Sandra Miller, and she has a book called Trove, and there's a treasure hidden somewhere in the New England area. Yeah, I mean, nobody's won it yet. And then there's also an upcoming treasure hunt called Gallows Harbor, and that's like $1 million treasure hunt. So
wow, We're looking into some of those for Beyond Oak Island, the new show coming out. I had never heard that phrase, so thank you for that. I didn't notice they were called that, but we are looking into some treasure hunts that were created by people, and a couple of the famous ones I'm sure you guys know all about. We're going to be looking at those.
That's really. Yeah, we were going to talk to you about Beyond Oak Island. Maybe we can do that now. I don't know what you can say about it because we know that you're a big part of it, and we're really looking forward to it.
So excited.
Like we were kind of bummed when it got pushed, but we understand why it was pushed, and but that doesn't mean we're not looking forward to it, right?
Yeah, so was I. I mean, we were in pre-production and ready to rock. And then, this hit. So we're all just kind of sitting on our hands right now. But I can tell you, it's funny. We're doing this today, like literally the last 48 hours, we have been kind of all systems go. So there's a plan in place. It's going to happen. And we're just like right now, all day today, I was doing research and we're on pre-production calls and like it's on. And so we're wicked excited to do it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be good. I can't wait.
Yeah, we're so stoked for it. We love anything. We love Oak Island, but we love all this other treasure stuff. And to see you and Marty and Rick go in and dive into some of these other legends and treasure hunts, oh my gosh, it's right up our alley.
Oh yeah,
we're stoked.
As in a lot of our listeners, I know I've gotten into them. So
yeah.
Okay, well.
Yeah, so like actually after we're done with this today, I'm going to do another live stream later on that's dedicated to one of these armchair treasure hunts, something that's been hidden since the early 1980s. So it's like been a long time.
Well, Beyond Oak Island is literally like this show is designed for you, like for the normal layperson who likes a mystery and likes a treasure, it's going to be great and interesting. But for someone like you, I mean, this is like the Jordan documentary for a sports fan. Like you are going to love this show.
Yeah. Yeah. That was fun to watch too.
That too.
Yeah. So yeah, this is going to be great. I'm excited about Beyond Oak Island. I think it's going to be a huge hit. Anything that is connected to Rick and Marty is going to be gold for the History Channel. So we're all down for it. And it's going to be huge, I think. So
awesome.
All right.
Well, so in addition to that, we have drilling down naturally. Mm-hmm. And we are just kind of curious, like, what do you do to prepare for stuff like this? And how did you get involved with it?
So I got involved because I had worked, it's a little bit of a boring kind of showbiz story, but I had worked with this producer named Jeff on other things for years. We were good friends. He was asked to work on what was going to become Drilling Down. He couldn't do it, but the producers from History said to him, we're looking for a host who's into mysteries and maybe some strange stuff, who has that kind of, and he's like, oh my God, Matty. And he told them about me. And I had actually worked with a couple of those producers too. And they're like, oh yeah, like he was always talking about UFOs and Bigfoot and mysteries. Like I'm just into that stuff. Yeah. So I always have been since I was a kid. So it was a natural fit, and I had read about Oak Island as a kid. I had a book, I think it was called The 101 Mysteries. I forget the author's name, but I remember there was like a picture of Oak Island in one of the chapters. And my mother bought me Treasure Island, the book, which I have on the bookshelf behind me, the actual, in 1980, I think she bought it for me. And she signed the inside cover. So I was always into this type of stuff. So when the opportunity came, I just auditioned like a normal, actor host guy. They had some big names up for it actually. So I was kind of dubious as to my chances, but I had this feeling inside. And this never happens in the business, or if it does happen, you try to squash it. And that is, I'm going to get this. Like I just had a feeling and I kept trying to squash it because you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. I had learned over the years, but I just felt a little bit of destiny. And it just from day one, it clicked with them and it clicked with me. And it was like, I was the right guy. And yes, they could have had a bigger name who might have, brought them a celebrity Instagram following or whatever. But I was the right guy, I think.
Yeah, we think you're the right guy too.
Exactly.
You bring in enthusiasm and like a kid-like wonder sometimes to the island, and it's infectious, right?
Yes.
And we love watching it, and we love experiencing it, and we love seeing some of the stuff through your eyes. So we appreciate what you do out there.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting because to us, it is kind of about the story and the journey along the way, right? And you've really had this opportunity to talk to to everybody, right? So kind of what's your favorite part of that?
To be honest, it's that my favorite part, if I'm being honest, is all the personal non-on-air stuff. It's the relationships I've had with the Laginas, the personal relationship with the producers at Prometheus. I've become close personal friends with, a good number of those guys because you're kind of embedded. It's almost like a little military operation in a way, because it's like you're thrust into this thing. It's high pressure. You got to get it done. there's always obstacles every day, every hour, it seems like. And it's like, you got to get it done. And you really bond over it. And, so it's been over 5 years that I've been working with these people, which in my business is pretty rare. I mean, I was talking to Robert Clotworthy the other day. He's been doing Ancient Aliens for like 15 years or something, or 15 seasons, which is like 11 years or something. And that's unheard of. That's my favorite part of it, is like both cast and crew, behind the scenes and the guys you see on camera. The relationships I've formed with them, and the feeling of accomplishment, like, we got this thing to do, let's do it. And then we get it done, and you're high-fiving. You're like, yes, you go out for a beer at the local pub. It's just that's my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we could tell that you just love every little bit of being part of the fellowship, right? You know, you're part of their team, because you may not be there every day, but when you come, you just like soak it all in. You get to show some stuff behind the scenes. You get to bring people to the island in a different way than just like, the regular show is, presents it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
It's just really cool to see it through, like I said, like through your eyes.
Thank you. Well said. I mean, it's funny, as a host, you're often encouraged to kind of squash that a little bit, be a presenter, be a professional. And if you tend to be enthusiastic or excited about a topic, you're usually with rare exception, maybe sports and things like that, but you're constantly trying to just do it. And I've had conversations with the guys at Prometheus, and they're just like, no, man, go for it. You're a fan. You're the head anchor, and like, don't squash it. So everything you see is real. If I get excited, if I get mad, if I get frustrated, if I get overly believing in an idea or something, and Marty has to go, well, hold on, Matty, slow down. Like, that's all real. So it's fun.
Well, it's fun for us too.
Yeah, it's like, just plucking an acorn and putting them on the island. We get to live vicariously through you.
Amen.
And it's magical on our end. Like, I think everybody just really loves drilling down. It's just an extension of the show, and we love the show already, right? So it's just like, it's natural, and we think you're a great host, and we think you do a great job. So that's that.
That's that.
Thank you.
All right. So let's see here. So what kind of things did you work on before you were, regularly drilling down on Oak Island?
Yeah. I mean, I was the definition of like a working actor. I did well over 24 national network commercials. You saw me. I guarantee if you watched any TV between like 2002 and say 2014 or 15, you saw me. I had national commercials running, with all humility. I had a lot of spots running, and I did quite well in that. I did voiceovers. I did a lot of hosting too. I had my own show on this network that was an upstart network. I hosted stuff for NBC Sports, for the Golf Channel, on and on and on. So I was like, I wasn't famous, but I made a good living and supported my family on camera, which is why when Oak Island came along, I had the chops. I had done the 10,000 hours. It was not a, oh my God, what do I do? The camera's on me. Like, I knew I had years and years of experience, which served me well, because there was a lot of pressure at first. I was nervous. I was coming into something that was already a giant. It was second season, going into the third season. The show was number one. So I'm glad I had those reps, as we say.
Yeah, and it's still number one. And it's like, your presence on the Drilling Down after show, or sometimes their pre-shows, isn't driving people away. I think you're retaining just the spirit of the show, so that I don't know, everybody just really enjoys
it's like the behind the scenes. I've always said my favorite episode actually was the one, what was it, Secret Weapons, or getting to know everybody behind the scenes.
That was so good.
I loved
that was so good
and I think it was a real favorite of many people. Do you have a favorite?
That's a great question. I loved our tribute to Dan Blankenship. It was done it's funny, I got the call he died on St. Patrick's Day. I think I got a call that night or early the next morning. It was right after he passed. We were on a flight within 48 hours, and we were at his funeral, and we we did that special so fast. That was another great example of like the military thing I was talking about, like a team coming together. Like we were mourning him, but we got together and did the special. And it was so good. And at the end of it, Dave came and sat with me in the interpretive center. If you remember that special, we're just on two directors' chairs. They lowered the lights and they were like, "Go ahead, Matty, get what you can get." And I was just like, the entire time, a lump in my throat this big, you know. But it came out so beautiful and such a good tribute to him. I was like, that's pretty damn good. That should win an Emmy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that one, I love the paranormal special because I love that stuff. Yeah. And I know some people don't believe in that stuff, but I always say, you know, you truly can't tell the entire Oak Island story unless you include that stuff. Because, I mean, the name of the show is The Curse of Oak Island. So right there, it's based on a unknowable thing. And the people, the important part is historically, the people who have been on that island report these things and they continue to. So I love that one because I just thought it was a lot of fun and spooky and all that fun stuff. So those two kind of stick out to me. Yeah,
The Dan Blankenship one was, you know, really touching.
Yeah.
And it was something important because there's a big online community that chats about Oak Island stuff all day long.
Yep.
You know, and, you know, everybody was kind of devastated, obviously, at his passing, but seeing the team, you know, put together that, you know, in quick order, having something broadcast to kind of, you know, help people get through that moment. Cause everybody loved Dan, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we all love Dan Blankenship. We don't, you know, we only get to see him through the lens,
Mm-hmm.
but we all felt really deeply connected in a weird way with Dan Blankenship and the work and time he's put onto this amazing treasure hunt, right?
Exactly.
And so, yeah, that was just a beautiful episode. Now going on to, like you just mentioned, the paranormal one.
Mm-hmm.
I love Bigfoot. I love aliens. I love like you and I are probably good friends because I could talk to you about that all the time.
It's fun.
Yeah. High five, right?
No.
Oh, she doesn't like it. She doesn't like it.
Ew,
That's all right.
little.
That's all right.
But ghosts are a little bit harder for me to
wrap your head around.
Yeah, like
Sure.
If I saw one, I could be more into it myself. Like I wouldn't say no, but you know, it's just it's hard for me to like. But I can't discount anybody's eyewitnesses. Like when we heard Dan Henske's story,
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's pretty powerful stuff, and you got to take notice because I look at Dan Henske on the show and I'm like, why would he lie? You know, why would he make it up? He wouldn't. So you got to like say, hey, something crazy, weird happened to Dan
Something
Henske, right?
happened.
So yeah, absolutely. You know, I often say about Oak Island, like there's some kind of how do I say it? Like it's a unique place and it puts off a tangible energy. It just affects people. And by the way, it affects people and machines. It affects equipment all the time. So if you're the non-spiritual sort, you can say, oh, it's magnetic hotspot, or there's geographical or geological anomalies that can explain all this. But as I always say, it's not nothing. You know, you can explain it away with whatever science you may believe in or whatever, but it's not nothing. And it affects people. It's affected me. You can feel like you're being watched. I had my first experience on the island. I don't know if I've told this story probably, but my very first time on the island, we were not supposed to be there on the day we were there, as often happens in television. Schedule changes 5 times. We weren't even supposed to be, not only were we not supposed to be on the island that day, we weren't supposed to be shooting where we were shooting. That even changed at the last second. We get to where we're shooting. It's my first ever thing I ever did on Oak Island. And we're trying to take pictures and 3 of our phones aren't working. We're like, my camera's just frozen. What is going on? You know? Mm-hmm. And I was looking at the Restall memorial and I said, what day is it today? And someone said, I think it's, and they said the date. And we went, oh my God, it's 50 years to the day of the Restall tragedy.
Wow.
And our phones all started working. Like it was like once we vocally addressed it, everything clicked in and started working electronically. And we were all just like, okay, hello, Restalls. Hi. You know, Oak Island, give me a little hello, you know, and I could tell you 15 of those type of things. So it's a special place, you know, and I just think it's, again, whether you believe in it or not, it's part of its history.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever we have a technical problem on the podcast, I just blame it on the island. So,
Yeah, it's a good policy to have there.
Yeah, for sure.
I try that with my wife when she's mad at me. It's the island, honey.
It's the island. It won't leave me alone. I'm sorry. It happens.
That's fine. So a little bit of a different subject. I'm going to take you even further back than working in your commercial days and whatnot. So like, how about like when you're in like high school and stuff? Did you have any like regular jobs or anything?
I worked at a golf course, but I hated golf. I fell in love with golf in my like 30s when my basketball career was over. So I just worked at public golf course. I plastered pools, just a regular working life, and I actually wanted to be a police officer. I never thought of acting or comedy or any of that. I didn't go to drama school. I loved it. I was a fan of it, but I was dumb. I never made the leap of like, oh, I could do that. I just never, I wish someone had said to me like, oh my gosh, Matty, you should be in an art school or you should be doing plays or something. I try to achieve everything through sports. That's all I knew. Everyone around me was doing that. And it was just what I grew up with. And acting and performing is something that Hollywood people did, So I never planned on this. I honestly didn't. It all started like after college. I didn't even start any of this till after college. So I think I did like a senior class sketch one time, which, everyone kind of did. But other than that, no, it wasn't even on my radar. I just had a natural aptitude towards it. And once I did do it, it kind of went really fast.
Yeah. That's cool.
So then what would you tell someone that is maybe in a similar situation that you were, thinking about it, maybe would enjoy it, but never took classes? What would you tell them?
I had a really kind of famous person in the business tell me one time, please don't take acting classes. Don't go to drama school. I shouldn't say don't take acting classes. What he said was don't go to drama school because you can always improve your craft, but it's kind of like, I think Robert Mitchum or someone said, trying to teach someone to act is like trying to teach someone to be tall. You can refine it, but you either got it or you don't to a certain extent. So what I would say to them is, it's kind of, again, to quote someone else, as Bruce Lee said, no way as way. For as many people that are in the industry, there are as many stories of how they got there. Yes, you can do the drama school path and you will have an advantage coming out of drama school. You just will. That's how it is. You can go to performing arts school. That is all great. But if you haven't, and you're like me, and you're just like a working stiff from a blue collar family, middle class family, you can do it too. 100%. There is when you get in the door to the audition, there might be a 3-second period where the person who's casting the part looks at your thing and goes, ooh, they went to Emerson or they went to Juilliard. That is gone the second you start performing. All they want to know is this the character? Is this the host? Is this the voice? Is this the face? That's all they care about. So if you got it, do it. Don't worry about what your background is.
Yeah, it's probably kind of hard to teach charisma.
Yeah.
I would think so. I would think so.
Yeah. Well, you got charisma, so you got that going for you.
I think it's, I think it's honestly, I wouldn't even call it charisma because I don't know what it is. I would never quantify that because I'd sound like a jerk, but I do have a really big enthusiasm for life, and I have a great curiosity for people and great stories. So that is all. I have earnestness. I'm an earnest person. I'm not a stand against the wall and listen to people. I want to be in there. I want to hear about you. I'm a hugger. You know what I mean? So I think that all comes out on camera.
For sure.
Yeah. It's easy to tell you're a hugger. Like,
you're
just look at that guy. Yeah. He's a hugger.
This has been very hard on me. The social distance thing has been very hard on me. I see my buddies. I'm like, get over here. Oh, I can't.
Yeah, it's almost hard to even do the elbow bump, that we had almost adopted. That it's kind of a bump. Hey, so I have one of our listeners named Julianne. She had said that she misses you on WAAF, and she says that she was a fan forever. And I just want to ask, so how is, because you've done radio, you have a podcast, right? So, and you're in front of the camera, which How are they kind of similar? How are they different? What do you have a favorite?
Between what? You froze just a little bit. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Radio, podcasting, and be in front of the camera.
Oh, radio was one of those things that I do love it. It is fun, but it kind of came to me. It was another one of those things that kind of came to me as an opportunity to just have fun. And if someone offers you a job with your name on the show, you kind of go, all right, but I don't think that is probably my true passion or true calling, just because of the way the direction of my career has gone. I would just look at the evidence. So I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing or not supposed to be doing, but I can tell you that my career has kind of drifted away from that, especially recently. That was a 2-year contract we had. We actually had a 1-year contract. They re-signed us for a second one. They didn't re-sign us for a third. And then the station, we were kind of like, what's the deal? We thought we were doing awesome. And then the station switched formats and became a Christian station. So from a rock station to a Christian station. So that was kind of the end of my radio career for now. You never know what's around the corner, but if I had to pick one, definitely what I'm doing now with Oak, that type of thing is like, if I can keep that train rolling, that's the train I want to be on. But who knows?
Yeah. Well, we've also heard you on, your podcast Monsterland, right?
Yes.
That's fun. That's right up my alley.
Well, the last episode was fabulous.
Yeah, Deidre listened to the Robert Clotworthy interview.
Oh,
it was great. Yeah.
Oh,
was
so
it fun?
I listened to it too. It was wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe he and I had never, it's just so silly. I've been to LA a bunch. And of course, like I said, I'm close to it. It just never happened, and I was like, it just hit me one day. I'm like, how have we not talked, Robert?
Right?
So for an extended period. So it was awesome. He's a great guy.
Yeah. So a lot of times, every episode we get Robert Clotworthy doing the narration. And then on your episodes, you do a lot of the narration. So you guys are both the voices of Oak Island.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a home studio just like him downstairs, and just bang them out when they need me, and I'm always ready. And there's always like little fixes and stuff to do, and that was a big part of my career in the New York City years. From when I went there in 2002 from Boston, I left in 2014 or 15. Those years voiceover was a huge part of what I did. It was my day job. If I had a day job in between on camera things, it was absolutely voiceover.
Cool. That's killer. Yeah. So, before we move on, I still wanted to touch more on the monster cast.
Yeah, go ahead.
The monster
Sorry,
stuff.
I didn't change.
Sure.
Because I love Bigfoot.
Yes.
I love, and your co-host is on the Expedition Bigfoot, so
Correct.
pretty sweet stuff. That's some good cred with you, your Oak Island.
You and Bigfoot?
Well,
sorry, I can't help it.
It's just cool.
Yeah, that was a unique opportunity. So yeah, he's got a real lot of, street cred in that world, and I've got my street cred on my side, and we kind of come together and we talk about all things that aren't easily explained, and we try to be, we're both believers. We don't make any bones about it. I'm an experiencer. That's, I think, an important distinction to make, because believer connotes, oh gosh, I believe in this thing. Like, I've experienced these things, and I can't always tell you exactly what it is. In other words, I wouldn't claim to say, well, like Ronnie and I, my co-host, had this really powerful experience in the woods of Ohio while going out looking for it, trying to provoke or get some sort of Sasquatch activity. And we had a really strange, powerful, light experience deep in the forest that I can't explain. But I can tell you it happened to me. So, where do you put that? And I had a full body apparition in my 20s. And I know this is hard for you to believe, but it was for me too. But I saw a ghost, a full body apparition that I had been told about in this home I worked at by other staff, and I laughed at them. I was like, but every once in a while, someone would tell me about it, someone who was very credible to me, and I would go, "Come on, really? You too? You've seen the boy, you've seen the ghost boy, come on." And they'd be like, "I'm just telling you, it was standing right there. I was in the kitchen, and I don't know what to tell you." And I was like, "All right, whatever." And then one night it was my turn, and it fundamentally changed how I thought about that stuff. And you look at the UFO thing that's happening now with the government disclosing UFOs. I have a list of friends as long as my arms, and I have long arms, that have ridiculed me for years about the UFO things. Just made fun of me and ridiculed me. And now they're texting me going, hey, they see the government saying, yes, these things, we don't know what they are, but they're up in the sky. Your own government confirming that.
Mm-hmm.
They're now texting me going, hey, what's the deal? I'm like, I'm not telling you, because I tried to tell you for 20 years. Do research it yourself, you know? So I think people's paradigms are starting to open up a little bit and shift a little bit, and not be so fast to laugh. And one last thing I'd say about Bigfoot in terms of credibility is I always tell people, well, be careful when you dismiss Bigfoot in a certain way, because culturally you're kind of slapping years and years and years of Native American tradition in the face. They don't believe in these things. They know these things exist to themselves in their own hearts and minds. They have experiences going back with these forest people, as Bob Gimlin says, forest people for generations. So I'm always like reticent to kind of do wacky Bigfoot jokes because of out of respect for them. You know what I mean? It's like, man, that's really a part of their culture. So
makes sense.
On the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's awesome. I was going to leave this for later in the podcast, but since we're here, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this stuff. All right. Yeah. So what I want to know is there any of the cryptids that you have a hard time believing in? And actually, before you answer that, so I don't forget, where you saw your apparition, I want to go there because I want to have that experience, because I could, but I have to see it. I just, it's hard for me to accept it without seeing it. I'm just a person, that just a normal person. But if I did see it, I would definitely accept it. That's the kind of person I am.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people like you are good, because the most credible witness is someone who isn't just blindly believing in things. The most credible witness has lived on both sides of that bridge, so to speak. They become the really powerful ones when you hear them say, look, I didn't know about any of this stuff, and then I can just tell you what happened to me. The ones who maybe had a predisposition to believe, like me, probably aren't as credible. I believed in this stuff since I was little, but it wasn't just a belief. Again, I grew up in an environment where my grandmother, in this little kitchen a half hour outside of Boston, used to talk about the ghost she had in her kitchen. She named it Bridget. And it would do things. And she would tell me stories about her mother in Ireland being able to have predictive dreams. And then even my faith, I was a Catholic, typical cliche Irish Catholic. You're talking about a faith of miracles and saints and ghosts and people appearing and people disappearing. And so I grew up in that environment. So I was predisposed probably to believe. So if I have an experience, a critic could easily say, well, look at him. He's been talking about ghosts since he can consciously remember. But if someone like you has an experience, like your wife, if you had an experience, and you came on this podcast and you went, hey, I didn't believe in any of this, I'm just telling you what I saw, that is very powerful.
Yeah.
So I would say it's fine that you need to see it. It's fine. It's good. Cryptids that I have trouble with,
like Loch Ness Monster.
Loch Ness, there's some
good old Nessie.
Again, it's hard to fully dismiss that. Lake Champlain might have more evidence than Nessie. There are weird things in the deep waters that we don't know. I'm trying to think. I know there's a couple that if you named, I would say, yeah, that one I have trouble with. Mothman is scary. Again, some credible witnesses on that one. I guess maybe the gnomes and things like that might be a little hard for me to digest, kind of like those scary, the puckwudgies and the Bridgewater Triangle, things like that. Little
terrifying.
Yeah, they are. But those are a little harder to believe, maybe.
Okay. Well, I just have one more question about this, and we'll move on to some more Oak Island stuff, because I know she's like,
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay. So one more question is, if there was a cryptid zoo, what would be the first exhibit you'd rush in to visit? They're all on display, they're all real, they're all in this place. What would you rush to first?
What would you hug first?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Bigfoot is Elvis. You know what I mean? He's the king. He's the king. And the fact that we have footage that's yet to be disproven, I mean, it's big. It begins and ends with Bigfoot, I think. You know what I mean? If you could prove that Bigfoot exists, man, everything else just falls into line. So it would be the North American Sasquatch, not not the Yeti. I don't care about the Yeti. I don't care about skunk ape. I want the good old North American Patty. Yeah, the where you guys live. I want him right where you live.
Say you need to come see us.
Yeah, you
I
want
know.
Henderson's, right?
That is Squatch country, definitely.
There's actually laws against killing him here. So
There you go. I love that law.
Yep, Skamania County, you can't do it.
Yep.
I love it. Good.
Yep. Yeah, like Harry and the Hendersons was my favorite growing up. That's when I attached myself to Bigfoot. I was like, yeah, it's got to be real. I blindly believe in Bigfoot. So, but I haven't seen one, and I would love to. I'd love to.
Speak to some loggers up where you live. Do you know any loggers or people who work in the forest? If you talk to 10 of them, I guarantee you 3 of them have had some sort of thing or something.
Yeah, cool. I look forward to
Time
having that
to,
conversation one day.
Network with some loggers, I think.
Mhm. All right, so back to drilling down a little bit. Deidre and I, what we call drilling down
Everybody.
Yeah, this is like when we have our podcast, we're like, okay, so we had a drilling down this week, and then we don't call that. We say a Matty Blake special.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, those are the Matty Blake specials.
Thank you.
It can get confusing between drilling down and digging deeper. We're like,
I
are we
know.
drilling? So it's a Matty Blake special. So
Yeah.
I hope you're okay with that.
Yeah.
I get confused. I'm like, what is this one they're calling now? Yeah, it does. And then I think there's digging deeper, right? And
Yeah.
We're digging, we're drilling, we're Matty Blake specialing is how we do it.
Yeah, we just call it the Matty Blake special, nice and easy. People know what we're talking about. All right. So you want to take the next question? All right, here, I'll take the next question. When you get to go to Oak Island for your specials, how long are you usually in Nova Scotia for them?
Yeah, it really depends. Like, I've gone super quick. Like, I think Dan's special, 3-4 days. Sometimes I've been there for 2 weeks. I've been there for, 8 days. I've been there for, 20 days, so it really depends on what we're doing and what we have to do. Because it's changed every season. Like, we haven't done the same thing every season. We've done different number of specials, different types of specials. Like this year we did 4 2-hour specials that ran before the season.
Those are awesome, by the way. Those are
I love those.
Warm-up.
Compiling those was a lot of work, but it was like we were almost done as far as we're concerned by the time the season started. And everyone's like, "Where's Matty? Where's that?" I'm like, well, I did 2 hours. I did the same amount of specials when you add it up. It just we front loaded them that year, and then we did a season premiere and a season finale.
Yeah.
So it all kind of equaled out. I think. Oh, we did a couple more specials that were just kind of thrown at us. We did the Nolan Blankenship feud, which was kind of a last minute thing, which is great. So it depends is the answer. Basically think like a week and a half, 7 to 9 to 10 days, something like that.
It's gotta be a magical week.
Oh, it's the best. They're the best. I go like, 4 or 5 times, whatever, 6 to, it's just like, I'm just waiting for the 5 weeks to go by, whatever it is, to get there again.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. While Deidre checks off her list to try to get to the next question.
Type A personality. Here,
I love it.
have a checklist.
I'm going to say real quick, like Deidre and I, we were supposed to be on Oak Island just 2 weeks ago. Like our tour was canceled because we had a tour. We just had, all the tours are canceled. Yeah, it's just a real bummer because we've never been there, and we were so looking forward to it.
Yeah,
but it's okay. Things happen.
Well, like COVID happened.
Yeah. June and July are canceled, right? That's the last I heard. Yeah, I'm so sorry for everyone that happened to.
Yeah, we're gonna keep our eyes open. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe something come available later in the year. Things. I think the website that sells the tickets and stuff, things add and drop all the time. So, who knows? We can still make it happen. But yeah, we're envious of you because you get to go there pretty often.
Yeah,
I do. I go a lot. It's good. There's signs of life, by the way. Things are coming back. Like I said, we're working on the next special, and so yeah, I would be hopeful, optimistic, and hopeful.
Always. So when you do go, but what's your favorite part besides visiting Oak Island there in Nova Scotia?
In the area?
Yeah.
I love the people are also incredibly nice. I love going into Chester Bay. beautiful, spending time with the crew, meeting people, talking to fans. Something that's happened, which is great, is my first season drilling down, those specials only aired in America. Then they started showing them in Canada. So I've noticed a huge difference. If I asked people about Oak Island before they started airing in Canada, people were kind of like, why is this weirdo asking me about Oak Island? Now people know who I am, so they want to talk to me about it. And I'm always trying to get the locals' impressions. I'm always trying to, and there's always going to be somebody that says something to me. This has happened every time I've gone without fail. I speak to a local. We have a quick conversation or a long conversation. They say something. It goes in the back of my subconscious or my back of my limited brain. I sit down with Rick and Marty, and that comes up at some point, some way. Some little insight or some little thing that you'd only think of or know if you were local or grew up with it. And I always end up kind of like throwing that in the conversation. So those are like little pieces of treasure to me. I love to talk to the locals.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we made friends with a lot of people that live around there.
Yeah.
Just through the podcast and being so interested ourselves.
Yep.
One of our good friends that lives in Chester, her name's Kim. She has a friend named Jen, and they do a podcast together called Booze and Bourbon. It'd be right up your alley. I don't know if bourbon's like up your alley, boo. But it's like boo, like a ghost.
Oh,
yeah. So, I don't know. You might chat with her sometime. Is she here? Oh,
you should have a chat with her. They're awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome, and they're all about the booze, and not BOOZE. Well, maybe they are. They're about both kinds of booze.
The booze and the booze.
Yeah,
I dig it.
So you should. Yeah, you should. She should probably reach out to you or something because you'd probably be a great guest on her podcast.
Seriously,
her and
Jen.
Anytime. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. It's good stuff.
Anytime.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah. So, how's working with Prometheus and everyone on Oak Island change your life?
Oh,
that's a lot, right? All right.
It's been, that's kind of one of those, the answers in the question. It's been a complete life changer in every way, in every measurable way, personally, professionally. Like I said earlier, I've become friends with these people, like personal friends, cast and crew. I love them like family. It's changed everything. I mean, look, I'm doing this tonight. Like I do a lot of these type of things. It's like, I do press, do media. Like I would just be, who knows what I'd be doing tonight if it wasn't for this. So it's like, it's kind of changed how I think, how I present what it is I do. My career has gone on different trajectories, and I've always kind of ridden the horse in the direction the horse is riding. But this is the first time where I've been able to be part of something where I can kind of take control of the reins a little bit and really be part of something and not just hope it works or hope it makes it or hope it airs. And all that. It's like, no, this thing's already exists. So it's been just an unbelievable ride. It's truly what every person who does what I do would dream of, this job. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, it's something, it's not just something, it's something special too. And like we said, the whole podcast, and you add a lot to it. And we can, the question was like, how does it change your life? We can tell that, it's obviously a big impact, but how about like your interactions with some of the guys on the team? How, what has that all meant to you?
We love us a good story.
Yeah. Do you have any stories about hanging out with the guys on the team? Like, I guess we could start with maybe the big three, Marty, right, Rick, and Craig.
Well, I've said it before. I don't remember where I say these things, so forgive me. So if you guys have heard this before, some of you who are watching, Craig Tester is the most sneaky, funny person I've ever met. He's the last guy you'd expect in a lot of ways to come down with the big bring the house down line, but he does it. He's a brilliant guy, soft spoken, very thoughtful, very unassuming, and yet, he's a bad man. You know what I mean? Like he gets stuff done, and he's built a really successful business with Marty. He's nobody's fool, and he to that end, he's super witty. He's just so funny, and there's been times where literally we've gone like, did Craig just say that? Like dying laughing, like we just don't expect it from him. But after enough times, you do expect it from him. So he's phenomenal. I just love him. There, you know, I remember him. He's a great dad too. Yeah, I remember going to the museum with him. We had an hour drive or so to the Museum of Natural History. I think it was season 3, like my season 3, and we just had an hour and it was an hour and change in the van together, and we just talked about life and fatherhood, and we all know what happened, that tragic situation with him, and boy, just the type of conversation you can only have with someone who's super comfortable in their own skin, and just a beautiful moment. I'll never forget that. And Rick and Marty have been so singularly wonderful to me. They have lobbied for me at every turn, and I'm lucky that they haven't had to lobby in terms of like me keeping a job. Luckily, everyone kind of likes what I do, and the ratings are good and all that, so that's good. But if something comes up, and I know this from several sources, if something comes up, they'll be like, well, Matty, what about Matty? Bring Matty. Like they don't have to do that. They don't have to do that.
Awesome.
You know, and they're always tired when they have to do stuff. We're asking them to, hey, you're just in the field for 14 hours. You wanted to come do a 2-hour sit down with me? And they're just like, yep, okay. And they're sunburnt and they're tired usually. And it's like, but they're just, what you see is what you get. They are everything that you think they are and more. And none of this is like, truly, let me just say one more thing. I'm blabbing, but Kevin Burns, who created this whole thing, at least the show, I think one of his great genius, and you heard this in the Clotworthy interview that I did, is putting the right people together. Like we all truly do love each other. Like this is he gets the right people because we meet each other and we just click. So he must, I don't know what he sees, but there is it's a love fest. So Gary Drayton and I have become like personal friends. You know what I mean? It's like we text each other. He'll probably text me while we're doing this at some point with some wacky GIF, you know? So it's phenomenal. It's just been phenomenal.
We've kind of heard that from several people, and it shows on screen. It's a really unique situation. So you just let in with Gary. Maybe some Gary Jack stories.
Yeah, Jack and Gary, right?
Moments.
Well, there's a really funny moment when this is kind of behind the scenes thing, when there was a time when Jack, Gary and I was metal detecting for a drilling down special, and I got a good hit, and Gary's like, mate, kind of like off camera, he's like, I think we got something here. And so we start digging, and because he just knows when it's good. It's amazing. And sure enough, we see this kind of barrel-shaped thing, and it looks like it's got a sight. And he goes, mate, this is a musket. This would be the first musket in Oak Island history. So we have to stop everything. Everything stops because now remember, we're doing a drilling down special. This is not the main show. Yeah. So we got to make a call to Kevin because this is the type of thing that you pray for on the main show, right? You make a big, huge historic discovery like this, like someone finds a musket. And God bless Kevin Burns, man. This is what I'm talking about with these people. Nope. Matty found it. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's keep shooting. You know what I mean? Like, because then it becomes like, well, do we say Matty found this and then put it on the regular show? You know what I mean? Like, do we do it that way? And get the guys down here, which by all rights they should do, right? I mean, like get the guys down here, have them take over. You just say, Matty found this thing, and now the team's going to take over. Like, nope, Matt, they let me have my moment, and
that was a fun moment too.
I remember that.
Well, we pull it out. It's just a pipe. It's like a postmodern pipe.
It doesn't matter. It was fun.
It was amazing.
Well, the funny thing is, Jack and Gary were just ragging on me the whole time after. Like they still call it to this day. They'll say like, "Hey, Matty's musket," to rag on me. So that type of like great behind the scenes fun. It's just awesome. Oh, yeah.
We had a good time with that on the podcast because we're like, oh yeah, they're giving him a really hard time.
And they still do.
That's good. It's a tradition with Oak Island, it seems, to call for people to get these objects, and like we had Billy's Wall. Yep. We had Drayton's Cross, or at least I still call it Drayton's Cross.
Yep.
And then now we have Matty's musket. It's right up there with the rest of them.
I wish it had been, man. That would have been phenomenal.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, something I want to go back to Robert Clotworthy just for a moment. because we talked to Laird a couple weeks ago, and he specifically said that if one person he would want to come out onto the island to hang out and just get a feel of how it all is, he wants Robert Clotworthy on the island. And man, that would be so cool to see him. Like, I don't know how
do
how
a live with Robert.
Oh yeah, it'd be so sweet. Like
play by play.
Yeah, it's got to happen. I mean, it's I don't know. Some people maybe don't want to see him. You know what I mean? Like maybe they don't want to see his face, because I know that that's like a thing in radio too, like the mystery of the voice. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a reason why.
I don't. But when you really think about it, when we watched Home Improvement back in the 90s, and there was Wilson there, I kind of always wanted Wilson to like peek over the fence and get the whole face. You know, the intrigue was always there, but you know that made you want to watch the next episode. Okay, maybe Wilson wasn't like the primary.
He wasn't like the thing,
but it was always like, you know, it'd be fun if you peeked over. I don't know.
Yeah, just peek over. It probably was Robert. That was Robert playing that part.
That's funny.
That's good stuff. All right, so what about the historians? Doug, Charles, Paul, Dan Henske. You have a lot of interaction with them?
Yeah, I mean, Doug and Paul are so wonderful. Again, it's going to sound like a love fest, but it is. Like, they're just awesome people. And they're always, Doug and Paul will, like, I'll walk into the interpretive center and they'll just do like 10 minutes of compliments to me. I'm like, guys, thank you, but okay. Like, no, really, what you're doing, you're bringing so much. I was like, they're so nice. They're so ridiculously kind, you know? And I'm just like, I don't know what I did to deserve this. And I return the favor. Cause like Doug Kroll crawling underneath the book bindery.
I loved it.
I mean, you know, talk about a guy you want on your side, you want on your team. Like this guy, and by the way, that stone is ridiculously heavy, you know, and he pretty much dragged it up by himself. So he's just amazing. A great example of research and elbow grease combining, you know, to give results. And Paul's his family connection to the island is maybe a little underrated. Like this is a guy who's got a lot invested in this island because of the work of his father. And you know, speaking of underrated, I was going to say if there's probably the most underrated member of the team right now, maybe, or you know, certainly one who isn't talked about a lot in terms of the lightning bolt of speed they've brought to the team, and that's Laird Niven. Because when Laird came on board, and I don't know how much you guys as fans, how much this comes through, but I can tell you from behind the scenes, it is huge. Him being on the team makes things happen so much faster than it used to happen. And so when we look at a Gary Drayton, you set Gary loose with that metal detector, he was always finding stuff like that fast. But because Laird is there, it's not now, well, we got to write a thing and wait 2 weeks. Laird can literally show up and go, okay, yeah, dig to there. Like that right there, that sentence used to take a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Point.
That's so fun. When we talked to Laird, he said that Gary was like
not
really
a fan,
standoffish at first, like, oh man, this is just gonna be another obstacle. But he said, nope, he won Gary over real quick, and just like you said, things are good. So that's cool.
Yeah, he's awesome. Laird's a super, again, unassuming, quiet. Gary Drayton's not unassuming and quiet.
No.
Laird Niven is unassuming and quiet, and like, you know, a little like Craig Tester in that way. But when you peel the onion layer off a little bit, it's like this great guy who loves hockey and he's super nice. And yeah, they're just all wonderful. They really, truly are. They really are.
That's cool. Yeah, we love the guys, you know. The word fellowship is just what it is, right? You know, so I mean, what else can you say? And then we have like some new people to the fellowship, like you know, we have like Steve Guptill.
Yep.
We've got Scott Barlow's been a big presence on the show lately. You know, it's just cool to see the team continue to grow and to continue to get relevant experts to get things done and to get, and I don't know, also when like last year you went to Eagle Canada, right?
Yes.
And that was so much fun to watch because we saw the kid-like wonder in your eyes, you know, loving the stuff you're seeing on the screen. Oh my gosh, it's a ship. Okay, is anybody going to say it? You know, like it's a
like
ship,
come on,
right?
man.
You know, just
man. Put yourself in my position. Like, so we were supposed to just do what we always did, and I set it up. I walk away. they do the episode on the results. And then all of a sudden they're like, stick around. And I'm like, I actually not only got to see results live. I was in a real war room, you know what I mean? And by the way, those are huge results. Rick, the entire time, here's a good inside the scenes one, behind the scenes one, that entire day. So like, I think I was in Michigan for 4 or 5 days on that trip with the guys doing the whole thing. And that day though, when Eagle showed up, Rick had a grin on his face from the morning when we were getting coffee through the mid-morning pre-production meetings. He just kept looking at me, and I believe that he knew with Kevin and they were going to have me. They're like, you guys, you're going to stay right here and see this with us, you know. And how cool is that? You know what I mean? So he just had this little smile on his face, like he knew this is going to be really good, and he could tell from the Eagle guys, because the Eagle guys came in smiling, like you just knew there was something big.
That's really cool. You know what's funny about Rick? So this season, I do all like we take notes during each episode so we can talk about it on our podcast.
Yeah.
And like predictive text, like when you're typing out words. So when I back in the day, I would used to write out Rick, and then it would the text that it would probably want me to do next is and then Marty. But after this season, like when I type in Rick now, it just says giggles. Because like Rick has been kind of giddy all season, you know, he just seems like he's so happy, and I don't know if he's just content with the progress or content with the team, or maybe it's just a combination of everything. But he seemed like he's having a real good season, and so was Marty. By the way,
seriously.
You know, so.
I think that's a great observation. You're exactly right. I haven't talked about this publicly, but I've talked to at length with my friends, you know, involved with the show, and there is no doubt. They had a spring in their step this year. And I think part of it is because they've finally started to accept that people are really interested in this thing. And I, you know, they were reluctant stars. They're not TV guys. So it took a few years for them to, and I think they understand now the importance of this thing, how it's changed lives, how they've created an entire cottage industry called Oak Island now that's beyond even the show. It's huge. People are making their living off this thing. People are doing podcasts, and Rick, for 3 years, Rick would say to me, I'm not even kidding. Like, he would just go like, do people really want to watch us do this? You know, he just couldn't believe it. Yeah. And I think part of it's he's accepted that. They've accepted it. They're having fun with it. Their kids are involved. Their nephews are involved. And then the other thing is, don't discount, you know, that Lyme disease threw Rick for a bit of a loop, you know, like that. I know he was sore for a while and lethargic, and he would never show it. But, you know, I think towards the end of that season, he was really getting tired, which makes sense. Lyme disease is a serious thing. Yeah. And I think on the other side of all those symptoms, he felt the resurgence. So I think it was like a perfect storm of everything. And I think you're exactly right. I noticed it in our interviews, and yes, they were starting to enjoy the smell the roses a little bit, I think.
Good. Yeah. It seemed like he really bounced back from that. You know? So that was when that happened, the Lyme disease thing, that was pretty sad. Like,
it was
like,
rough.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty sad. But yeah, it's good to see he's bounced back, and everything, you know,
this whole year has felt just.
Yeah, everything's felt good. I mean, everybody seems to be in good spirits. You know, like I said, some of the things might be because of bringing on additional experts like Steve Guptill. You know, like we had somebody in the chat saying, Guppy. Yeah. You see that?
Yep.
He's awesome. I met Steve. I love this guy. He gave me a beautiful hat, and he's just, I should have worn it tonight for him. But he's brought a lot too.
Yeah, we had him on the podcast a couple weeks ago.
Great.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. So would you call these guys that are part of this Oak Island team, they're basically superheroes, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, in the Oak Island world, there's no doubt. I mean, they each have a role. There's like remember when we were kids? Well, I'm older than you, I think, by a long shot. But the Super Friends, and they would meet at the Hall of Justice, you know, and plan their superhero ways. Like the War Room is the Hall of Justice, and they each get their assignment, and they go forth and they perform their superhero duties. No doubt.
Yeah, that's perfect because, you know, I think Robert Clotworthy brought it up on the podcast that you did with him that, look at these cool
the trading
cards, right? So we're the trading card people, right? And
that's you.
That's us.
And so we've made them into Oak Island superheroes, right? So here. Maybe can you take a couple of those out of the plastic because they kind of.
Alex. I saw that was Alex, right?
A month,
Yeah.
and they're sent out to our patrons and those who purchase them. So we do the art and the stories, and
we'll have to send you some of these.
Yeah, we'll definitely.
Oh, yeah, please.
Yeah,
those are great, you guys.
Look at Paul.
Oh,
Paul's ripped.
Right?
What's his thing? Like what?
So on the back, there's all these.
Their stats.
Their stats and a little story. So Paul Troutman says his powers are extreme, enhanced strength, hand-to-hand combat, and unarmed and deflection specialist, and enhanced super speed, running, combat, and reading. Reading's important because he's a researcher, right?
Big.
His weakness is icy surfaces because if he's that fast, he's just going to slip and slide all over the place.
It's rough.
And his story says, so the first card is actually the money pit and has a long story on it about how they got their powers.
The origination story.
Yeah, the origin story. And I don't know if you can see that, but the Ark of the Covenant is what they find, and they open it, and that gives them their powers, right?
I love it.
And so it says, after the Ark incident, Paul wasn't sure what happened, so he got up and took off running. A moment later, he found himself standing in the middle of a sandy desert that later he learned was in Morocco. His speed is so fast that he was able to run at top speed across the water thousands of miles in an instant. Paul has trained relentlessly since that day to control his speed because on his way back, he ran straight through a train engine that barely left a scratch on him. He decided to take up martial arts, and just like everything else, is in his life, or just like everything else in his life, he picked it up super fast. Paul is now not only the head of research, but also of security on Oak Island and basically everywhere else. But yeah, it's just funny stuff. We got Billy here, you know.
Oh, Billy. Wow.
He's wearing his trademark green.
Yeah, green and gold.
Yeah.
Green and gold.
We got Steve.
And then Steve.
Don't these look cool?
We talked to Vanessa.
Oh,
we had Vanessa on our podcast a few weeks ago.
Vanessa.
Pretty awesome. I'm just going to show you the restroom real quick.
Yeah.
How about Rick, look at that.
Because this month we have 6 more coming out.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we got some special ones this time. So you want to show them one of the special ones?
Yeah, let's see here.
Let's see if she can. Yeah. So
we're the crazy card people.
Yeah.
More or less. So
let's see. Wait.
Oh no!
There you go. So we got.
That's fantastic.
Special Matty Blake card.
That's right. So we wanted to make sure you knew you got included. So we wanted to bring it here today.
I'm honored. I'm absolutely honored. This is better than getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame because it's Oak Island related. So
it's basically better, yeah. So
more or less the same thing.
What's my deal? Like, what's my? Have you thought of it yet? Like, what my power is? You're still working on that.
We've been thinking about it. We haven't written the back yet, but hey, why don't you tell me what's the superpower?
So what are your superpowers, Matty?
Wow.
No pressure.
Robert Clotworthy, I asked him, and he said his is he wants his power to be the power to believe.
That's a great one.
I mean, you can do better though.
Yeah, but so like each of these cards, everybody has a
weakness.
Well, they have a weakness, but they also have a offensive power, a defensive power, and a travel power.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, probably my weakness, Oak Island related, would definitely be probably over earnestness. I believe too quick sometimes. And Marty a couple times has stopped me. Like, listen, have to so they'll find something. I'll be like, oh, that's definitely Templar related. And always have to slow me down and go, hey, let's kind of like what I was saying earlier. The best witnesses are those who look at all sides, and so that's taught me a lot. I've learned a lot from that. So maybe gullibility or whatever. I don't know what the word is. I'd fall into the traps of the villains more easily, I guess.
It's okay. We'll make a fun story on the back of your card.
They're always
it'll all make sense. And,
cool.
It'll be fun. So this is actually the debut of that card. Nobody's seen it until just now.
I'm honored. I really am. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we'll print it up and we'll get it sent out to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I look nice and slim, so I appreciate it.
Well, you're a superhero.
Yeah, I mean, naturally.
Yeah, I can't have this gut. All right, great.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, so that was. I'm just glad we got to show that to you live because that was a lot of fun.
That's beautiful. That is a lot of fun. Thank you, guys. That's fun.
Yeah. So let's see. What other questions do we have real quick here? I think we're kind of getting down to the nitty gritty. So thanks for all the time, by the way.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh,
I have a scenario question.
okay, let's hear it.
Okay. You get a call from the big three. They say, Matty, you're in charge of the island for the day. Everybody's at your beck and call. What do you do?
Ooh.
Right now, all right. So I would have said, if you had asked me this question going into this season, I absolutely would have said all hands on deck in the swamp, especially coming off that anomaly, that ship anomaly. I would have been, there's just no question. I want everyone in the swamp all day, every day until we figure out what is down there. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'd bring it. And it's funny, I haven't been a money pit guy for a while because I'm like Rick. I'm not so into treasure as I am the story, and I think it was something of more importance than treasure. I think it was something cultural or religious. I really do. I've come to believe that for a million reasons. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, I would. They are so close. It feels like right now to whatever was down there. I would say all hands on deck in the money pit. I want to open up H8. I want to do this big that we're talking about. That's what I would do.
That's what we want to happen.
Yes.
Yeah, we just wanted to, I don't know.
Big dig.
What'd be really cool is if they did the big dig and let's say they did it, I don't know. Let's go really big. Let's do 200 feet wide, 200 feet deep. And then they put some kind of, I don't know, like, let's say they find the treasure. Let's say they don't, I don't know. But after it's all said and done, maybe they shouldn't fill it in and make it some kind of additional attraction. But
like a swimming pool?
No. Just like something where you could go down in the money pit. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I got you. You could cement it off and have a spiral staircase. That would be really neat.
Or an elevator, but yeah.
Yeah. It'd be tough coming back up. Yeah.
You want to count those steps. If you're gonna do it, I want credit.
Yeah. Or you could have what Marty did to me one time, lower you down on an excavator.
That'd be fun. I'd do that.
I'm sorry. I'd only trust Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Billy's good. Marty's gotten good over the years, though. He really has.
Yeah. We see Billy often take Marty under his wing,
Yeah.
Yep. Give him a little instruction. Yeah. It's funny. When I went to cat training to be able to operate one of those things, and the guy who trained you could lower a wine glass with the bucket without spilling any wine. He would do it as a kind of a show, a display. Yeah. Pretty amazing.
That's impressive.
I've seen like a video on, I don't know, YouTube or something where somebody can get a bottle top off of a bottle, like with the excavator scoop or something like that.
Billy.
I think it was probably already loosened, but I mean, it's still impressive to not knock over that bottle,
Right?
Yeah. Incredible. Yeah. Those guys are artists with those things,
Yeah, for sure. All right. So is that kind of all we got?
Yeah, that's what I have. I would say, do you have anything you would want, guests or just fellow acorns to know? Maybe something they don't know about you or about the show or life? I don't know if you want to be a philosopher. But...
Yeah, it's a great question. I would just say to maybe... Most people fit into where we fit into. They, look, if they're watching this, they probably really love the show, and they probably are enjoying the journey. But I would say that that's the entire concept of the fact that we're watching a hunt. It's more about watching a hunt as opposed to watching them pull up a chest of treasure at this point. That's a big metaphor for life in terms of enjoying the destination. If you're super focused on just what comes out of a treasure chest, you're going to miss so many beautiful moments. You're going to miss so many amazing things that happen all around you. And if you're too career focused, if you're too focused on goals, I've got these goals, if I don't achieve these goals, meanwhile, you're missing your kids growing up around you. So for those of you who are, when are they going to find something? When are they going to find something? I would say maybe just take a breath and enjoy this chronicling of a search.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's something that Deidre and I try to impress upon people because we, like we said at the beginning, at the top of the show, we're treasure hunters, right?
Yes.
We dig for buried treasure for some of these treasures that we go to, these treasure hunts we go on. And the most difficult thing is to find
something
a real X marks a spot and then dig down and actually find the thing you're looking for.
Yes.
It's incredibly hard. And it just, like, a lot of people just don't understand that. You know, they just think, oh, dig a hole straight down, and if you don't find it, well, you were wrong or whatever.
Exactly.
That's not the way it is. It's so difficult. Like, everything, like, all the stars have to line up perfectly to sometimes get to this, you know, X marks the spot. The thing we dig for is like 3 feet deep. The thing you guys are digging for could be over 200 feet deep. It's incredible. It's insane.
As Marty said, they could be missing it by the size of my end of my fingernail pinky, you know, the pinky fingernail. It's so maddening.
And that's true.
It is.
He's not even just saying that to like make a point of any. His point is, yeah, they could have been literally a millimeter away, or, you know, whatever it is.
And,
you know, they could,
you know, to think that, like, and also if they do find something, when they find something,
exactly,
of great significance, of, you know, the thing, the one thing, when they find the one thing, because all this team does is find stuff that's amazing,
right?
Changes the needle of history and all that. But if they find that one thing that we all know what we're alluding to, people say, well, that you know, this is taking time so that it can be a show. I promise you, because if they find something, then it's over. I promise you, if this team finds something of that much value and that much cultural significance, I could make 5 seasons of TV about that. I promise you that, at least. So this team wants to find something. It's not like no one's delaying anything. It's like what you see is what you get. It's just, as you said, this is hard work. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Exactly. We have a couple of phrases we throw back and forth quite often. You're off by an inch, you're off by a mile. It made fun of for that one a couple times, but it's also called treasure hunting, not treasure finding.
Yeah.
And you know, it's about the journey. And I think about it, and the solution channel. Okay, not only are you looking for something buried, it's moving. A moving target underground.
That's not fair. It's not fair.
That's just rude.
It's not fair.
Like,
yeah, so,
really far underground too.
Yeah,
as you said, not 3 feet.
Yeah,
No.
so we were talking to Steve Guptill about that.
Yeah.
And like, so me just watching the show like a normal person, I'm thinking, okay, so straight down, they dig down. Yeah, of course there's some water down there, but I didn't think it was an active channel moving anything. I just thought there was just like, you know, basically a big pool of water that
we literally laughed at the graphics moving the chapel vault.
Yeah. And we're like, whatever, like for real. But he's like, no, that's like a thing.
Science.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like, for real. Like that's just
and Marty's coin, you know, look at Marty's coin, Marty's toonie. It's like you watch that moment, which by the way is a great moment of television, because you see Marty literally process on the air, you know, like, wait a second, let me see that again. Like what a cool moment that is, you know.
Gary Drayton's like, hey, it's just a modern toonie.
Yeah,
like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But what's a modern toonie doing down 200 feet anyway?
10 feet away from where it started. That was the best.
Yep. So that's some magical stuff. I love it. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to dig underground. It just is. That's just the fact of the matter. Like Deidre and I, we were on Expedition Unknown last year, and we were digging for a 3 foot deep box in San Francisco for this treasure hunt that's been around forever, not as long as Oak Island, but
naturally.
And we didn't find it, but you know, we could have been off literally by an inch. You know, it's just it's crazy.
So you guys know firsthand. Yeah, it's good.
Way too many first-hands.
Yeah. Well, and then, you know, it's funny. The week after our episode of Expedition Unknown aired, Gary Drayton was on Expedition Unknown.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Happy family.
Yeah. That was fun. Like that was the first time we ever saw Gary Drayton. He was on an Expedition Unknown episode from like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Right. And he was doing something with Josh Gates over
He was magnet fishing.
That was the most recent one, but he was doing like some kind of dredging.
Oh yeah, he
back
was.
in I don't know, it's like 4 or 5 years ago. But and then when he showed up on Oak Island, we're like, I know that guy. Where's that?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. He's been a magical addition to the show, let me tell you.
He was a lightning bolt. You know, when he came on the island, it just like the finds, like that season, that 4th season, it was just like we had a table full of finds. It's just like every day cameramen were running out of the trailer to go grab what he was about to dig up. You know, it was like every day. He's amazing.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, he's cool. Hey, so the last thing I'm going to ask is, when we were talking to Steve, we made like fantasy Amazing Race teams. You ever see the Amazing Race?
I have seen it. Yes.
Okay, so we said a fun team would probably be like Gary and Jack Begley. That would be a fun team to watch.
Yes.
But
Steve
yeah,
is
what is
very confident that him and Scott would win it.
Yeah, him and Scott Barlow.
Wow.
Yeah. So who would you choose to be on your team?
Yeah, who's on your Amazing Race team?
He's like,
No pressure,
yeah, no pressure.
but you want to win.
Yeah, you do want to win.
Let me think of what it takes to win the Amazing Race. You got to travel, right? You got to face obstacles.
Yep.
You know, it's going to sound like the most basic answer ever, and I hate to be hack I just hate to be a cliche and be a hack, but how can you not go with Rick and Marty? Because you know what they represent, like they're both guys who get things done, but they do it in a different way. Right? So you're going to need times in the Amazing Race where things are just going to need to be moved, and it's going to take some brute force and everything. You got Rick, you know, and just go. And then you're going to need some business acumen. You're going to need a little finessing. You're going to need a little of that skills. And then Marty's going to come in. Here's something about Rick and Marty that a lot of people don't know is that they seem very different in almost every measurable way. Their size. Rick seems more reserved at first when you first meet. They're like, you could go on and on and on. The length of the hair, whatever. But they have way more in common in the things that matter, important things. And those two guys are they are. Look what they're doing at Oak Island. They're an incredible team that they move heaven and earth, the two of them together. So I just go with the GOATs, the OGs. If I was allowed Craig Tester as a third, I'd take him. But I think with 3 people teams, is that the rule?
No, it's 2 people on team. Maybe you could be on team with Craig Tester.
There you go.
I would take him in a second.
There you go.
Ooh, that could be an interesting.
For me, I think I'd probably take like Jack Bagley. I think because I just think he's like so enthusiastic. He'd just go and just try to knock out the world. You know. I don't know.
But he doesn't read the whole clue. Sometimes you go too fast and you don't read the whole clue.
Well,
so
yeah, I'd take Rick and Marty to win it. Yeah, I would take. I'd probably have to take Gary because he'd never let me live it down if I didn't take him.
Okay.
Texting me every 2 seconds saying, "How's Craig doing?" I would have done better.
That'd be pretty good. Yeah. So I think that's kind of all I've got.
Yeah, that's all I have. So I guess we'll wrap it up.
I just want to say thanks so much for your time, Matty. This has been a lot of fun. Like a lot of fun. So
you guys are great. Listen, you got to know that the team really honestly does. Again, I know this, we talk about it off the air, like they are blown away by people like you who are into this thing. It keeps them going. These things like the playing cards, I promise you, we'll be in trailers and in the war room between teams looking at these things, laughing. Like they love stuff like this. So you guys are, on all you fans who are watching and commenting, I'm telling you, it makes a difference. When they know people are invested in this thing, it drives them. It really does. So keep it up and keep watching. And we thank you and we love you and stay safe, everybody.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Way to end it.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for everything, you guys. And thank you, Matty. It's been a pleasure.